This is Biba Olivia Aquava. Ahadie the Jazen hot news and qua Aramedi Bramo Anuti Sawian subscribe ya Bomodia say over subscribe to the channel. Yobayan say over click the subscribe button. Now barely notification. Oyanasa new video be upload. Also once a can be. I feel we are now like video and give us a thumbs up. Now feel share my offer so now when you be here now and summer air so ewo Ghana memo hano. I feel you share and summer about beto ye so yeti yes answer me report here about to yeti come we are episode.
No, you see, I don't hate the NPP as a political party, but getting rid of this group of NPP people is a civic responsibility. And all of us combined, whether you belong to the proper NPP and you want to see a redefinition of your party, you need to vote out this group of NPP people. So you can, they're surrogates. But when I say group, it's a confidence all of them. And once you get them out, then you can take control of the administration of your party to rebuild it and possibly get the opportunity to govern the good people of this country again. Until then, I think it is our responsibility to vote out. I don't know who you are going to vote, but just vote out NPP. Simplicity. All the political opponents do not have to always succumb to the communication tactics of the NPP, particularly in matters such as the Agyapadie and the ambulance saga involving the president's daughter. All the political opponents must stick to these two subject matters. Just as we got stuck on the bus of the SNET and finally brought some respite to the matter. I am for Agyapadie. I love Agyapadie. I love properties. By the way, people who do not understand Agyapadie, the meaning of Agyapadie is properties. And Ohima, I've heard this argument being advanced. The argument has been advanced by first Gabby Gabby Asare Ochredako. For those of you who do not know Gabby Asare Ochredako, Gabby Asare Ochredako is a prominent member of Nana Addo Akufo Addo, a leading member of Nana Addo Akufo Addo's NPP, and someone who was very instrumental in campaigning for the NPP, Nana Addo Akufo Addo's NPP, prior to the 2016 elections. So Gabby Asare Ochredako is very important and a key member of this administration. Another person who has responded to this is the Okyehene Osajefo Amwetia Oforipenyi, I think the third or the fourth. And finally, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Showboy Akufo Addo. So these three people have responded to it. Now, is it a book that exists? Is it a book that was written by political opponents? Is it a book that doesn't exist at all? These are, I think, three fundamental questions that every interested party will be asking this morning, or has been asking at the very inception of the knowledge that the book was in circulation. The first time I got to hear of this book was in 2019, and the first copy that I was given to me on this show. In fact, it had nothing to do with the discussions that we were engaged in, but somehow one of the viewers just forwarded a first copy, which was a copy that appears to be one that was taken with a phone. And so you could see that the person was in a rush. So the person just took, and you can see there were some papers there. So it captures the book and it captures some papers that were on the table as well. And that first document captured the plan Okay, the plan. And when I say the plan is simply, so for instance, if you are a project manager, and you want to execute a project, you have pre-planning, and then you have the planning itself, and you have the post-planning. So the pre-planning activity is what was captured in the first copy of the book that I got the opportunity to see. Now, what was contained in that document? What I do recall was contained in the first document was a plan that was hatched to collapse specific companies belonging to political opponents, to collapse specific media houses belonging to political opponents, and to specifically control certain specific levers of the economy. Certain specific levers of the economy. Levers, L-E-V-E-R-S, levers of the economy. I do recall that when this first copy came out, a lot of people rubbished it, made nonsense of it. And indeed, because the author of the book in the beginning was unknown. In fact, the person who was even circulated it was unknown. Okay, so people rubbished it as though it was just one of these, books which are in circulation. People didn't really place prominence and premium on that particular document until we began seeing specific things being done, i.e. the closure. In fact, Pakwesi Indum is on record to have come out to rubbish the first document that came out. Pakwesi Indum himself. And then later, his companies now became a subject matter of attack, and then realized that, wait a minute, it appears that there's some truth to this document. All right? So what happened? Let's take the banking sector. Check the records. See all the banks that were collapsed under the Akufo Addo's watch, and the justification for the closure of those banks, and whether those justifications were grounded in logic. Check. UT Bank, there was no justification until today. I will stand by my argument, okay, that there was and is no justification for the closure of UT Bank. There was no justification for the closure of Heritage Bank. What was the justification for the closure of Heritage Bank? The explanation given to us was that the gentleman, Seydou Agbongo, was in court, and therefore his bank should be closed down. The justification for the closure of GN banks and some of the other banks was that they were unable to pay depositors their monies. Okay, and cumulatively you were looking at about some 9 billion Ghana cedis cumulatively. So if you have 9 billion cedis owed to depositors and you want to sanitize the system, you have options. Even if you think that there is justification, you have options. One is to resuscitate the demised, or rather ailing banks, okay, as has been done in many countries, in the US and all of that. When they see that a bank is struggling, they ensure that there's some financial injection, okay, so that business will continue to grow, because ultimately they care about their citizenry and the investment that they have made in those banks as opposed to the management of the banks. So if, for instance, Pan-African Television is a viable company, however, is being managed wrongly, all right, Pan-African Television has been able to employ over, let's say, 200 to 300 to 400 staff, okay, and you want to exercise some political authority over the administration of the bank, you do not close down now Pan-African Television, because you would have considered the fallout from the closure being the dismissal of all these 200 people who work in Pan-African Television, invariably creating unemployment. So that would have been your focal point in taking that decision. What did we do? We said the banks owed 9 billion. Then we went and borrowed 21 billion. 21 billion to close down these banks and amalgamated a few of them. Now CBG is an amalgamation of different banks. Amalgamated a few of them. And there was no reasonable, logical justification for the decision that was taken by government, except that this was an attempt to control the financial lever of the economy. That's the financial sector. Let's come to media. Ohima, I nearly called you Ama. Ohima, if you look at how the media houses were treated, okay, now you just take an inventory of all the media houses that were captured under the net of a decision by Esla Owusu to ostensibly sanitize the media space. Which of them? You are looking at Radio Gold. You are looking at, I think, Power. You are looking at all stations that were affiliated to the NDC. They were all closed down. This was captured in the first copy of the Agyapadie document. Okay? Now, all these things that I'm talking about were not things which in law we describe as after the fact. These were before the fact. These were captured in the first copy of the document before all of these things materialized. And so, if Gabby or Tróuble, okay, will have the effrontery to go first on X to write that anybody who thinks that a family will put together a document or will hatch an evil plan to steal from the country and still go ahead to put the head of the family on the cover of the book for the purposes of authenticating the document, will now put it out there, then the person must have his or her head examined. This is what Gabby told us. I have also heard them say that the subsequent copies that we have, you see, bear in mind, you see, when you have a document or you have a project and you want to execute that project, what you do is that you have a pre, then you have the event proper, and you have the post assessment. Now, the event proper will be a review of whether or not you have been able to tick all the boxes in the previous in the preview or the pre-document. All right. Now, all the things that we have seen, all the books that we have seen, at least the first two books that I have seen, are books that directly speaks, first of all, to the execution of it and the review of the execution of it. So a review essentially is to audit the specificities therein to see whether or not we have been able to execute them properly. If we were not able to execute them properly, how do we now better it going into the future? Okay, mention specific people. So if you look at even the forward, talks about, and the forward that is in the subsequent document is the same forward that I read in the first document. So Gabby tells us that it is only a weak-minded person, or essentially a person who does not have the presence of mind to appreciate matters, will be the one to conclude. Yes, to conclude that the book there exists. Then you have the communications person for their flag bearer. There is miracles again. come out to also sort of attempt to debunk the existence of the book. But in that, also admits the existence of the first copy. It's not in doubt, because he now questions the existence of the two documents that came after the first document, but does not, okay, deny the existence of the first, because you say that the subsequent ones were ones that were put together by the NDC or political opponents. You get the point, right? Now, let me also ask this, or in fact, make this point to Gabby and the people who believe that this book is not real. It's like the Bible. It's like Osadefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. His memories would have been erased, or the things that he had done would have been erased if people had not stood firm to protect what was left of him. Okay? Agyapadie document is a real document. So I'm also telling Gabby that if he thinks that political opponents will have the patience, the time to compile a manifesto. When I say manifesto, you know what I mean? Because the Akufo Addo's manifesto is the Agyapadie document. Will compile an Agyapadie document, take their time, write forward, okay, sign, and publish, then the person must have his head examined. Because I don't think that any political opponent will have the time to sit and compile and write a book detailing a plan which has been hatched, okay, and detailing how the hatched plan will be executed, and knowing exactly when what should be done and what is done, okay, and when and if that is done, where it will lead us to. I don't know if you understand this point I'm making. That they knew exactly what the plan is. Okay, it's like you live in your house, Ohima, and I'm able to tell you, I'm able to tell Elvis Buta, even though I don't live with you in the house, but I'm able to tell Elvis Buta that Ohima's boyfriend visits her at 9 p.m. All right, and when he visits the house, he usually eats rice and kontomire stew. I'm able to chronicle the event. Okay. As though it was premonition. Then I'm a prophet. So whoever it is that drafted this document is indeed a prophet. I want to make this point and conclude on it, that yes, we will have our heads examined, because in the final analysis, and I'm warning the NDC that when they get the opportunity to take over the reins of power, and they do not interrogate all of these matters, they will have us to deal with. Because it cannot be that the resources of the state will be stolen brazenly without recourse to the future of this country, and there will be any consequences for it. It cannot be. It cannot be that the finance minister will have his company, okay, run the books of every borrowing that was done by his ministry, and nothing will happen to him and his bank when NDC is in power. It cannot be that they have been involved in conflict of interest in respect of procurement processes, and there won't be any consequences for it. It cannot be that we have borrowed in excess of over 700 and something billion with nothing to show for, and there will not be any consequences for it. Oima, it cannot be. Okay, that you, the president of the Republic of Ghana, put your presidency on the line and making a promise, a solemn promise as the leader of government to the good people of Ghana, that you are going to deal with galamsey. And now and today, galamsey is in its worst form than it used to be when you were in opposition. And there won't be any consequences for it. It cannot be, Ohima, that Chairman Wontumi will be named as one of the persons who is directly involved in galamsey. In galamsey. Okay? And when you NBC as a political party gets the opportunity to be in power, there won't be any consequences for that. It cannot be. Ohima, it cannot be that the president's daughter will be given a contract worth over $34 million. $34 million. Okay, in this ambulance matter, and there will be consequences for it. It cannot be that we will deliberately run down state-owned enterprises and then turn around to want to buy them back, and there will be consequences for it. Finally, Ohima, it cannot be that with all of these scores, seas of corruption and corruption allegations and corruption related activities, okay, which have, engulfed this administration, will not be investigated and finality brought to the matter. If a mere allegation, okay, of corruption made President Mahama lose the 2016 elections, then that same mere allegation of corruption must see the back of certain people in prison, because we do not have enough resources to feed. The little that we have cannot be co-opted by greedy family members whose only aim and purpose for coming into power was to restore the lost glory of their family members. We will not sit and watch unconcerned and fold our arms without visiting the fire of the law and putting the feet of this administration to the fire of legal battles. They need to in opposition. If they are going to get the opportunity to come back in the next 50 years, within those 50 years, don't have a chance even after 4 years. But do you think that they have messed up the economy? Well, I mean, Ghana for years. Sometimes you wonder. We wonder. No, but now I think people are becoming more aware gradually. But Ohima, what I'm saying, in conclusion, Elvis said, in conclusion, is that we as the good people of this country have a responsibility. I'm not an NDC member, and I'm not a member of Movement for Change. Okay, I'm not a member of Bernard Mona's political party. I'm a Ghanaian.
Oh, this.
I'm a Ghanaian, and I'm saying that right now, okay, getting rid of this group of NPP people is a civic responsibility. Thank you. Getting rid. No, you see, I don't hate the NPP as a political party, but getting rid of this group of NPP people is a civic responsibility. And all of us combined, whether you belong to the proper NPP and you want to see a redefinition of your party, you need to vote out this group of NPP people. So you can, they're surrogates. But when I say group, it's a capsule sort of them. And once you get them out, then you can take control of the administration of your party to rebuild it and possibly get the opportunity to govern the good people of this country again. Until then, I think it is our responsibility to vote out. I don't know who you are going to vote, but just vote out NPP. Simplicity.
No, it's for winning a year and summer about the toy. You so because see so and our no say we don't subscribe. We have Bawumia say over subscribe to the channel. Since I had yet later then hot news in Kwan. And I'm the Bremo. I feel we are now like give us a thumbs up. Nothing. Share one of a first now. When you be here now, and someone I also will guard a memo. What's with me at share what Gyamfi some way now. I will comment boxing in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video.
You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.